Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode from Obscurity to Opportunity. This is a very special show, and let me tell you why it is. If you thought my story was good, coming from England with 2 suitcases on a nice plane, you guys got to hear this guy's story right here. Because first and foremost, at least I could speak the language, right? But this guy right here, I know for a fact he only knew 2 words for sure, and he may correct me here in a little bit. Yes and no. But that's probably about it. To see where he's came from and where he's going and what he's doing right now is absolutely phenomenal. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to the one and only Polo García. What's up, my brother?
Hey, Chris. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me in your podcast.
Man, 100%. Listen, man, this was a blessing, and let me tell you why. Let's tell the people why this is happening right now. First and foremost, this is our first ever virtual podcast that I've done. Ever, okay? We've got the cameras here, cameras there, cameras everywhere. I think you have the cameras there, cameras there, cameras everywhere. We tried to get this done when we connected maybe a month ago in San Antonio. So you was there, looking good as one may say. I mean, I know I was looking great. But then when it came time to press the record button, nothing would work. Nothing would work. But you know what? We had some great catch up anyway. And we're like, look, we're going to have to take this show on the road virtually, man. You was like, Chris, let's do it. Now look at us now. Rocking and rolling virtually. So I'm glad we're doing this. I'm glad we connected. Polo García, man. Who is Polo García? Let's tell the people.
Well, I consider myself a business owner, an investor, and I've been blessed. I was able to come to United States at the early age of 18 years old from Caracas, Venezuela. I came by myself, as you mentioned, without speaking any English, without knowing anybody. I just had a big dream to try to go for those opportunities that I heard so much in the American soil, and I decided to come and give it a try. I wanted to learn the language, finish my college education, and open my own business. I from the early age of 5, 6 years old, I started doing things that might be considered businesses, and I always knew that I wasn't shaped to be a regular employee. The 9 to 5 wasn't really fitting my personality, so I always wanted more. I always wanted to be my own boss, to make my own rules, and because I know I can work very hard, I had no doubt that I was going to be successful. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I knew I was going to be successful from the very beginning. Failure was not an option. I give it a try, and I came to United States at the age of 18. $250 on my pocket, one piece of luggage with a few pieces of clothes, and that was it. And that was about 22 years ago, and I cannot complain. I consider myself very, very blessed. I have my successful businesses running, and I'm only 42 years old, and this is just the beginning. If I'm blessed to be healthy enough, like my mom is at the age of 83 right now, I would love to, to see where I can go, because I consider myself just in the middle of my life, and the best half is just coming up.
And I love it. I love it. I love it, man. Thanks for sharing that. But we got to unpack that just a little bit, right? See, I came here with 2 suitcases. I thought that wasn't very many. You mentioned one suitcase. So one suitcase, $250. Now, that was US dollars, right? That
was US dollars. Everything I had left after I landed.
And not a lick of English. What was going through your head?
You know what? I always been a big risk taker, and I did not knew how much of a risk I was taking at that time. To be honest, I was very naive, for that matter. I had no idea what I would do if things didn't work out. Failure wasn't an option. I just have to find a way to make it happen. And what I did as soon as I landed in Miami, I started looking for jobs, and I started looking for apartments. And then I realized that the jobs were not paying very well for somebody in my position with no papers, not English, not a career or nothing. And the living expenses were very expensive. and I started looking for other opportunities. That's how I decided to move into Omaha, Nebraska. So I went to Omaha, Nebraska because um, less people speak Spanish, so I was going to be forced to learn the language, which was one of my goals. Second, rent was cheaper, college was cheaper, and I heard there was more opportunities of working. So I moved to Omaha, Nebraska, and as soon as I landed, I was able to find a room that I rented as soon as I got there, and then I started walking around the block in that apartment complex in a highly Hispanic Mexican area of Omaha, and just uh, knocking door to door, just looking for a job, just telling anybody, whoever needed any kind of help, I would be willing to do anything I could just to find money to pay rent and get something in. And that's how I landed my first job in a kitchen. They hired me to clean the kitchen at night after they close a restaurant, and I started working. It took me about 4 or 5 days looking for a job until I found that one, and I was able to get a couple of other jobs during the daytime, and those helped me purchase a little 20-year-old car with 600,000 miles or something like that
There you go. There you go.
for $500. And that's how it all started in Omaha, Nebraska. I cannot complain. Omaha was great for me. I got my first opportunities there, and things start just getting better and better as I start learning English. I start learning the culture, how things work here in the United States, learning about credit and things like that. And I was able to continue my studies. I learned English. It was very difficult at the beginning. I'm not gonna lie. The first 3 years, I thought I was stupid. I thought I would never learn English. I see kids, I see other people speaking English, and I couldn't understand. I couldn't repeat the words, and I got home many times crying. After a year or two learning English in a place where everybody speaks English, and I couldn't. I thought I was never gonna be able to learn English, and here we are doing a podcast 100% in English. And I just want to tell people, sometimes people think they're too old. Sometimes people think that they're not smart enough to learn something new. And if you put enough energy and or enough effort, you can achieve anything. Some people might do it faster than you, but it doesn't matter. Anything you want to achieve, you can do it if you put enough effort and consistency. You gotta keep going for what you're looking for until you get it. And I was able to learn English and get better jobs. And finally, I was able to be hired by by the biggest insurance company in the United States. They allow me to open my own business, and that's how I decided to move to a place that was more in line to what I was looking for. I wanted something warmer. I wanted something closer to South America, and I wanted a place where I could help more Hispanic customers. So I researched California, Florida, New Mexico, Arizona, and Texas, and I realized that I was very close to the way things are happening in Texas. So I decided to open my business in the southwest part of the Houston city, and that was 16 years ago. I opened my insurance agency 16 years ago, and I cannot complain. The company has been fantastic for me, my family, my employees, my customers, and this is just the beginning. I'm looking forward to continue working and growing my agency, helping more customers, helping more employees, and achieving more goals and more success through the company. And one of the most important things that this business had allowed me to do has been to be able to pursue my other interest. I really like insurance for the safety that you're getting paid every 2 weeks, every month. When policies renew, you get paid. It has challenges. It's not perfect. It's not easy, but you can rely. You can count on some things. But it also helped me grow my team, so I can have a full successful big team that helped me run my office. so I can do other businesses, and I've been able to invest my profits into real estate, and that real estate has allowed me to achieve many things that I when I came to this country I would never imagine I was going to be able to do, like travel around the world, drive very expensive cars, and
And hey, we're gonna talk about that. And look, I'm just gonna let the people know right now. I know Polo. The first time I ever met Polo, who's actually getting walked across the stage, which is great. Multiple times, I think he kept going right, left, and picking up trophies. But more important than that was the conversation I got to have with you for the first time after. I believe it was at a meet and greet. We was on some skyscraper somewhere in Chicago, I believe it was, and you was just hanging out with your buddy, just low key chilling, as one may say. And I came up to you and I was like, hey, you know, how do you do it at such a high level? And I just remember you just being such an open book and pouring out, you know. And I think that's the biggest, most important thing is, look, you can get to the top of the mountain, but when you turn around, how many people have you helped up with you? And a lot of people can't really relate to that because they're so focused in their own way, their own life, and what direction they're going. And they can't help but just say, oh, man, who have I helped? You know, another thing, I remember us being on a company trip and meeting a lot of agents, and left, right, and center, they were introducing, hey, here's my team member. Here's my team member. And now their agent's doing an excellent job too. And I thought to myself, I said, man, I need to be doing that. I need to be introducing these people to all these people that I've helped. Who have I helped? Then I've kind of helped. So just to back up a little bit about the whole language thing. I know I'm on this quite a bit, but I'm from England. I speak the same language, and I had some issues with some language out here. So let time out real quick. I'm from England. I invented the language. I know how to spell and say 100% Shakespearean, but why am I having trouble, right? You know what I mean? And so I remember going through my journey out here. So just for you to come here, not speak a lick of English, build your businesses, build your influence, help your community, it's just absolutely phenomenal. What would you say your biggest challenges were from when you originally came? Because you originally came, you got situated, you found a job and everything like that. But to make the leap from where you were to being a small business owner and launching a huge insurance company, what would you say your biggest challenges came up, and how did you deal with those challenges to push through and make it to another level?
language was a huge challenge. But what I would say my biggest challenge to become business successful was understanding the financial services and the American way to do things. I come from a country where we don't trust the government, where we don't trust the companies, when we don't even trust the police. One of the things that caught my attention as soon as I arrived here, I came in 2001, right after the 9/11 happened. And I was in an airport, and they announced it on the speakers they were gonna let pass the guys, the military personnel. And when they were walking with the desert uniforms, people stand up and applause them, and then they shake their hands and they told them, thank you for your services. That was amazing to me because I come from a country where the police come, when the military come, you hide, you run, because they are so corrupt and they are so damaged that we cannot trust them. They're most of the time they're gonna come here and steal your things because they had all the power and there's nothing you can do. So coming from a country like that, where the banks has failed, have people have stole all the money from people on banks and they just leave the country, and people don't trust banks. I couldn't understand how people will do things here and credit things and stuff like that. That is part of the big reason why I realized I wanted to be in the financial services, because there is a lot of immigrants and there is a lot of people that, like me, didn't trust the system. And I wanted to show those people that there are good companies out there. There are good things that you can do. And with the right knowledge, the sky's the limit. I'm a strong believer of the financial system here in the United States, and it might not be perfect, but it helps people when they need it, when they're low, when they're starting, and that is something that not all the countries in the world have, and that is the main reason why I've been successful here, because I started with no money, and I bought my first house when I was 19, and I put zero money down payment because I got seller's assistant for closing costs. I got first time home buyer's assistant. I took some classes. My credit was perfect at that time, and I was able to close the house with zero money down, and I was able to start investing in real estate, and I start my real estate business with zero money down.
Wow.
And those are things that is very difficult to do. It is very difficult to do today. Right now things have changed, but that was 20 years ago, so it was a little bit different. But you are still able to do things if you learn the system, if you do the right things, and if you avoid what I believe are the two biggest problems in American society today. I believe the two most uh, important issues that we have as a society today in the United States are first entitlement. I feel that people are growing up right now feeling that they deserve things. I never had that feeling because I never thought coming here I deserve anything. I always knew I need to earn everything that I wanted. So when you have that feeling of entitlement that you deserve it for this or for that, it doesn't help you see the reality. And the second thing that I feel that is a big problem in today's society is the immediate gratification. People want everything, but they want it now. They want it right away. People that wants those businesses that are gonna make them millionaire this year, this same month. They wanna make $20,000 today. They don't understand that things take time. Then you have to learn. You gotta start growing and then compounding so you can get to those high levels. So when I'm driving my supercar, people walk to me and they ask me. The very first question people ask me is like, "What do you do? What do you do for a living? How can you afford something like that?" And when I tell them, I sell insurance, people just laugh because I don't know what they're expecting. They expect some magical thing, super, a Hollywood actor. I don't know, a Wall Street banker or anything like that. No, I just sell insurance. But what people don't understand is that it took me 16 years growing my business, reinvesting in my business, putting the time, the energy, the money into it to make it grow to a level where it is right now, where I can purchase basically any supercar I want. So they want to start and they see the profit they will make this month and they think, not worth it. They don't see the vision. They don't see the long term
Good job
that
security
will
too,
take
isn't
them to
it?
success.
It's good job security for people like me and you. And I do want to touch on the instant gratification. Actually, both of them is I remember being at a meeting and speaking with a high level executive who I consider a mentor to this day. And he pulled me aside and he said, "Chris," he said, "tell me how." And I was 3 years in agencies. He said, "Tell me, how's it going?" And I said, "Well, it's good. And, we're building on this, we're building on that." Ha ha ha. And he said, "Chris, just be real with me." I was like, "Okay, sucks. Why does it suck?" "Okay, well, I'm from the car business. Okay, and our busiest day is Saturday. And you can do 80% of your production in one day. And if you have a great day that Saturday, which is usually 3 Saturdays out of 4, towards the end of my tenureship, it was 4 out of 4. When you walked out that back door, you could bang your chest knowing that you rang that bell and you're good to go." I said, "I've been doing this 3 years now. And I don't feel that instant gratification."
Yeah, I'm barely making it.
What do we, my paychecks weren't going up a whole bunch, but it wasn't even about the money. But when do we get these big hits? We don't, right? So he kind of smiled. He said, "Chris, you're right. There isn't instant gratification, but you, my friend, are in the game of delayed gratification." Okay? At the time, I didn't like what he told me because he was 100% spot on. And that didn't help me where I was at that point, right? But every single day after that I've navigated through my career, I realized how spot on he was. And I think anything in life, there's no such thing as an overnight success. Or maybe there is. Maybe someone gets a crypto dump or gets lucky or whatever it is. There's some examples. But if you can do diligently work at something, man, and keep pushing through over and over and over again, you're gonna make it. You're gonna get it. And I saw this other thing is, like, when we're recruiting people to come work with us, right? So they can be agent aspirants, so they can make it. A big thing that I kept hearing is, I'm a solopreneur, right? Which no knock on solopreneur, right? But I would ask them, well, what does that look like? Tell me more. And they'd say, well, I start this job, I do that, I stop doing this job, I start this, I own 3 or 4 different companies. None of them really make any money, but I'm hoping for one to go off. Well, doing that and not sticking with it, you're just going to go like this, right? Because you're going to make money, but then you have to give up time. Okay, make money, give up time. So kind of like this. But if you get something and you stick with it, you're going to gradually keep going up like this. Then you can come back down and do what you've done. You started your real estate company, bam. But you're not starting from the beginning. Now you got money, you got equity, you got cash, and you're going like this. So I love that you said that. And then the entitlement part that you touched on, man, is so important. It's so important. Like what do I owe you? You know, what do I owe you? You know, you came here one suitcase and the same as me, an American dream. Period. And I see the immigrants. I see them busting their tail. I see them doing it. But you know what? They're doing it 10 times harder. Look, man, I'm going to be honest right now, and hopefully I don't get deported for saying what I'm about to tell you. I worked a cash job working on swimming pools, right? And it was the hardest labor job I ever had. I jumped in and out the pools all the time. I had fun because I always had fun growing up. I had to dig big holes, sump pump holes, and all that stuff. But that was my biggest motivation. I have to get this degree because I know if I don't get this degree, that's what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. But every once in a while, there were certain things we couldn't do. We need to bring in the big dogs, man. So we brought in my fellow brethren from Guatemala. And let me tell you something, man. These guys were the hardest worker on whole planet Earth. And they dug it, man. I respected them so much, man. And I respect that, man, tremendously. So for you to come and do what you've done and be where you at, and the best news is your best is yet to come, my friend. Your best is yet to come. Walk us through that I'm going back in time and going forward in time, back to the future, man. I'm calling it right now. You are about to be a New York Times bestseller. I'm just feeling it right now, okay? Walk us through what you are launching coming this week. By the time this airs, it will be live. Walk us through that.
Well, I've been blessed through my whole life with a lot of people that has helped me in many ways, and that's one of the reasons why I am the way I am. Just like you mentioned, I'm an open book, and anybody who follows me in my social media or anybody who have ever spent more than 10, 20 minutes talking to me, they will know this because I'm very, very open because I want to show people that things are possible. And I want to help people get what I have achieved, and I want to help people do even more than what I have done. So one of the things that I learned years ago was that a lot of people helped me. So I believe in karma. I'm strong believing in karma. You can call it God, the universe, any way you want to call it. But everything that you do here in this life, good for somebody else, will come back to you in multiple ways. So I'm trying to help as many people as I can just to pay back all those people that pay me, that helped me at the beginning. And one of the things that I wanted to do was show people what I have done and what I have accomplished, and that I didn't get it easy. And I decided to write a book. At the beginning, I wanted to just for the records, so my kids can understand what I went through, for myself to remember 20, 30 years from today. And my brother started helping me edit it and reviewing it. And then he mentioned, hey, Polo, it is very motivational. I'm really proud of what you have achieved. And I think a lot of people will enjoy learning about this. Why don't we actually publish it? So we started the process of putting it together, and I decided to self-publish the book. And the book is just finished being reviewed by Amazon, and it will be available in Amazon hopefully by the end of this week. So I'm very proud. That's one of those bucket list things, and I really enjoy the learning process of the writing the book and publishing it. So I don't think this is gonna be the last book, but
oh, this is going to be a trilogy, man. I know how you get down. It's going to be like better than Back to the Future trilogy, better than Lord of the Rings, is what I may say. And the show that I'm watching right now with my wife, the ice storm is coming. What's that called, Chris? The storm is coming. The ice storm is coming. I'll think of it here a little bit. You guys know what I'm talking about. Actually, probably don't. Anyway, check this out. Before I ask you the title of the book, Can you just walk us through kind of how that title come to pass for the book? Because I love hearing this.
The book talks about why I decided to leave my country, the reasons, and why I picked United States, and how things went at the beginning, and also talks about a few of the funny things that have happened in my life, and I had the very interesting stories to tell when it comes to my job interviews. I I believe most of the job interviews that I can remember right now had something funny on it, and one of the interviews marked my life, and I have shared this story with many people, and every time I share it, people tell me that I should write it, a story, a book, or something, because it was so funny and interesting, and then it was because of a short interview that I have when I finally got my first job, my first real job, leaving the kitchen, leaving the cleaning house, and leaving the delivery newspaper.
Coming from the kitchen, now we're here. Keep going, brother.
Yeah, no, we went through that. We had to do whatever it takes. And then I decided to apply in a bank when I been in the country for about 9 months or less. My English was very broken, let's say at least. And my good friend that applied with me was actually, he couldn't believe that I was going to get a job because my broken English. But I decided to apply it anyway. I'm the kind of person that believed that you never know what the answer will be unless you ask. And I go for it. I go for anything I want, and many times I fail, many times I don't get it, and that's okay. At least I know many things that I went for did happen. So I went on and applied when my broken English, and while we're talking in the interview, these two guys from the middle of Nebraska, that speak no Spanish at all, are trying to understand a little bit about me with my broken English. They asked me a few questions, personal questions, and then one of the questions was, hey, you mentioned you've been in the country for about 9 months or so. What do you miss the most from back home? And I think about it for a second, and then I decide to answer. I'm coming from Venezuela. I'm from Caracas, Venezuela. I told them I miss the beautiful beaches. And they look at each other. They open their eyes. They didn't talk. They didn't answer. It was so awkward that moment. With my broken English, I had no idea what's happening. This is the very first real interview that I have in the United States, right? And they look at each other again, and they're sweating, and I don't know what's going on. So I'm assuming they want me to elaborate more on that question. So I tell them, because I'm from Caracas, which is on the coast, I used to surf every weekend. I miss that. Then they realize what I was talking about. They look at each other and they start laughing. They start laughing for like 2 or 3 minutes. It was so weird to me because I had no idea what's going on. I had no idea that what I said sounded like something else. That is not what I meant. So they start laughing when they realized I was talking about the ocean. And then they laughed for like 3 minutes, and I'm sitting right there just waiting. I had no idea what's happening. When they finally can breathe again, they come back and they apologize. They're like, oh my God, we're so sorry. We didn't know you were talking about the ocean. I don't know what they were talking about. Like, I had no idea what I said or what I sounded like. So from that moment, that vice president of the bank, if I still see him, he's still going to call me beautiful bitches. Hey, what's up, beautiful bitches? When I start telling people that story, they laugh so much. So I decided to call my book Beautiful Bitches.
Come on, man. Let's see a copy of the cover, man. You got a copy of the cover there? Let's see it, man. Show the people. Come on now.
I received the proof, the very first book that was printed
Let's go.
by Amazon.
And he's showing it right here, from obscurity to opportunity right there. Check it out, guys. Beautiful bitches right here. Beaches, of course. We wouldn't say anything different on the podcast. Go ahead and get your copy. Where can they get their copy, brother?
Amazon. It's going to be available in Amazon by the end of this week. Anybody who wants the link or anything, you guys can search for me, the Polo Garcia, THE Polo Garcia, in all social medias, and I'll be happy to answer any question. Share the link for the
Check
book
this
once
out.
it's
Check this
available.
out. Here's what we're going to do right here, right now. We're going to go ahead. We're going to pick up 20 copies, okay? As soon as it goes live, we're picking up 20 copies. Whoever goes ahead and shares this on any social media platform and puts in the comments section, where's my book? We're shipping them a free book from us,
Thank you.
from obscurity to opportunity, to support you and your cause, man. That's what we're gonna do right there.
Thank you very much. I
So
really hope
simple.